Cloud. Good morning. It's Friday, November 15th. It's a little after 10:30 a.m. This is the second of two monthly Trident Fiber Public Broadband Committee meetings. First meeting of the month, we look at all the data and reports on what happened the previous month, which would have been for October. This meeting is just to talk about everything else going on with running the organization, running the business that is Trident Fiber. I sent around an agenda about an hour ago. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll cover that. I also created a presentation deck, which we'll use for some supporting parts of the conversation. As we do with each time we get together, I would like someone to volunteer to share the mission. Any volunteers?
I'll do it, Dave. So
right,
our mission is to provide reliable, affordable, high-speed, fiber-based internet access. We offer state-of-the-art technology and unmatched customer service.
Awesome. Great. You did that without even seeing it.
No, I can see it. I have your thing open. Sorry, I cheated.
Oh my
God. I'm the same boat. Yeah. Graham, I've got it open on my other screen so I can see what's going on. So in case I have to read it, I'm with you.
I thought you had committed it to memory by now. We've only changed it once in the last year. So you're one of our first customers, Graham, and you're in a neighborhood that has lots of people who are interested, very interested, and or have recently signed up or received service. What does this mission mean to you as a member of the committee?
I am really happy that we get high-speed service at this kind of cost. It is really phenomenal. So,
yeah. I mean, I think you can't beat the cost. $45 for the lowest tier at 400. It's 4 times faster than Spectrum and equal or less cost, less price. All right, this is the agenda. I'm going to switch over to this deck, which has some things on the MIP update, the infrastructure summit, a little sign update, and then some broadband things. Oh, broadband facts. So let me see if this works. All right, so for most of you, you've been pretty familiar with this. This happened over the course of the winter and spring. We applied with other publicly owned ISPs for a municipal infrastructure program grant. We originally were awarded or had requested around $6 million to do all the unserved and underserved homes in the town of Dryden, and to do basically the western half of the town of Caroline to reach them. Basically, what could we more easily achieve as a project within the 2.5-year time span? The state of New York, who's running this program through the Connect All office, which is a new department of the state of New York, came back to us and said, what if you could do all of the unserved and underserved in both the town of Dryden and all of the town of Caroline? So we went back and worked really closely with our partners at Hunt Engineering to come up with a revised plan, which had a much bigger budget. And after a little bit of back and forth, just on some details about the locations, at the beginning of June, we were awarded $8.9 million to a $10 million project to bring fiber internet to every house in the town of Caroline, served and unserved, in all the homes it passes, as well as every unserved and underserved home in the town of Dryden and the homes that would be passed on the way. In total, this is around 2,670 locations, addresses across the two towns. Some of those are unserved, which means they have like dial-up or maybe satellite. Some are underserved, which means they might have DSL but in slow speeds. And some of them are actually served. They're just on the way to reaching underserved and unserved locations. That doesn't mean that this hits every single location in the entire town of Dryden, because there are a number of pockets around the town of Dryden where there is a service. They do have, they are not in the FCC categorization of unserved or underserved. Those are primarily along Route 13, basically between Ithaca and Dryden Village. 38 between Dryden Village South, Ellis Hollow, Snyder Hill, and Route 79. All those locations are considered served. Now, they don't necessarily have any competition. Most of those locations only have a single provider that's offering broadband. And we are going to bring the network to them, but it'll be a secondary priority after the MIP investment. So where we are today, we've received the grant disbursement agreement. We reviewed it. We sent back comments. This is the agreement we have with New York State that is going to tell us and them what the milestones are that we have to achieve through 4 different major milestones, as well as how much we're going to spend on each of those milestones, so we can spend the money, build the network, pay the invoices as they come from our vendors, and collect all those invoices, send invoices that have been marked paid, and the canceled checks that said we pay the invoices to New York State, and they will then reimburse us the money, which means during this project, Dryden, as well as the town of Caroline, will be floating the money through bonds and other bond arrangements to pay all the bills and then get reimbursed from the state. Second bullet here is we're working on the intermunicipal agreement between the town of Dryden and the town of Caroline to really specify how this functions between the 2 towns and New York State. And we're aiming to finalize this grant disbursement agreement, ideally this month, in the next couple of weeks. We cannot start sending in reimbursement requests until the GDA is approved and signed. This is just the next step in this entire process. All right. Any questions on the high level about MIP or where we are with the project so far? Brand has hand raised. Go for it.
Yeah, you had, when you mentioned the bonds, do we need to issue a new bond, or are we using the bond for Dryden already? I know Caroline has to go issue their own bond, and have they actually done so?
So Amanda can answer the Dryden question about bonds and paying. And Mark Whitmer, who's the town supervisor, town of Caroline, is here. He can talk about the Caroline part of the bond payments. Amanda, you want to start with the bonds?
Yeah, I can go really quick. Graham, the town will be issuing a new, what they call bond anticipation note. It's an annual renewal that we basically do a budget for the next 12 months. And that's what, and then obviously for this one, I had to calculate in MIP reimbursement and so on. So the town will be, our renewal is in January, and I'm going to be finalizing those numbers and getting them to Jason for approval and to our bond counsel so that that process can start. I will say we met yesterday, Mark and I met with our bond counsel yesterday, so I'll let him talk about Caroline's side.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, we had, so Caroline is in the process of passing its a bond resolution. So we met yesterday with the bond counsel, and he's already provided me a draft bond resolution for discussion with the board. Our next meeting is next week on the 20th, our board meeting, but I think that's too soon for us to, I think we have to, it'll probably be December when we do that. And we hope to have, so we are planning, actively planning to adopt a bond resolution, I would say within the next month, and be prepared to have those funds available by early 2025.
And that meets the schedule, I believe, Dave, because it's in 2025. I think there are actually charges related to Caroline coming in. Is that correct?
Actually, we're already incurring costs for the permitting.
Oh, because we've started permitting in Carol. This is a bit that we haven't really seen exactly detail about yet, but we know it's going on. Okay, so those payments coming out, our current payments are coming out of our current bonds and monies that Dryden has right now, so.
Just a bit of a clarification. Caroline's local share is being supported by all of the town's ARPA monies, which is about 338,000, plus a Tompkins County Recovery Fund grant of 132,000. So the total is about 470. That's what we're spending out. Those monies will support the money, the expenses right now. But Amanda has warned me that we're going to spend them quickly. So that's why we're moving quickly to get the bond in place, the bond funds. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, we want to make sure we've got the fund, we're funding and we're getting fundings from the right stream. So the Caroline stuff is coming out of that 470 currently for the things going on, and Dryden is pulling it out of their current bond or that we have right now. So, okay,
That's
great.
right.
So
that's my understanding. Yeah. And if Amanda has any follow-ups to that I think that's what I have.
I think we're all pretty much the basics are there. So yeah.
Great, thank you.
Are other questions on MIP? All right, the last couple bullets. These MIP grants have covered the cost of 22 of our installations. So the grant provides the majority of the cost is for construction across both towns. However, we've also budgeted for, I believe, around 400 installs to be covered by MIP grants. So that's the cost of having Clarity go in person to do the installations, as well as any materials, equipment that goes to those homes. So it's a very small percentage of the total number of homes that are covered. This also is, the next bullet is the 207 homes we passed, or addresses we passed, that are in the MIP list of homes, which is 7.7% of the project. This project was shovel-ready more than the other 4 projects that were granted in the first phase. So we were already working on this. Dryden Fiber's plan was already to wire all of the town of Dryden. So this just helps to reduce the overall long-term infrastructure cost of the project by having this, which is about $4.5 million for Dryden. It reduces that from the right off of the project. So we were already doing it, which meant as soon as that June 15th starting date happened, June 16th starting date, everything we did that hit this went right to the project right away. Finally, also part of this is kind of neat, is that there are no other projects in phase 1 that have any live installations that we know of. Josh Breitbart, who's the head of the Connect All office, he works within the governor's office, called out Dryden Fiber during the infrastructure conference on Wednesday. We are the only one of the 5 who has live customers that have been paid for by these funds. Finally, there's our other grants available. One is this BEAD funding grant. They put out a list of every location that the FCC regards as either unserved or underserved across all of New York State. They divided Tompkins County into 2 different parcels, and within that, or 2 different groups, within that, town of Dryden actually gets split into both of these groups, just the way they drew this line. And we identified, again, through Hunt and their GIS team, 60 additional locations that through the BEAD funding would be eligible for BEAD that are in the town of Dryden. Now we went back and said, some of these are already covered by MIP, they just weren't identified. Some of them we were already going to do through the Tompkins County Recovery Program. Other ones were just long driveways that didn't get picked up when we did our original lists. And their response was, we will remove these 60 from the BEAD eligibility list. So that way no other ISP can come in and get state or federal funding to build to these 60 locations. We will not be getting additional funds to build to these 60 locations. We're already going to be in front of these homes as part of our plan, either through MIP or non-MIP funds or Tompkins County Recovery funds. But the key part is we won't have any other ISPs coming in. And the cost to actually do the installations is only around $100,000, of which we could use our MIP contingency funds to pay for that. So we feel good about this number. It's pretty low compared to the number of total houses in town, 6,000 houses. Only 6 of them showed up here. And we're going to be able to prevent any other ISP from coming into town to try to reach these homes. All right, any questions on this part of MIP? Grants, installations, houses we passed? See a hand up, probably from Kate.
Yep, it's me.
Hi.
We're on right now. So are there houses like that in Caroline? I know this is a Dryden talk, but Dryden Fiber, but
Yeah, no, because Town of Caroline's project as part of MIP was to cover 100% of homes,
okay. And so none of
unserved.
them are one of these bead homes. It's another group is going to be looking at to get
That's
funding.
right. That's right.
Good, thank you.
Good question. All right, anything else on MIP?
Well, the only other thing, Dave, that I can remember was that at some point, we want to make sure that the pole permitting stuff is a little more transparent to us so that we know, start like we did with Dryden to make sure that they'll move along. That's been one
Yeah,
of the
I think
big
once the
holding
GDA
points.
once the
Yep.
IMA is signed
Yeah.
and the GDA is signed, then we'll start to bring in the Caroline part of the project to
Yeah.
this. Because this meeting is not necessarily a Town of Dryden meeting only, it's a public broadband committee meeting for Dryden Fiber. So we'll want to cover the Caroline portions too.
Yep.
All right. This is
Dave,
the
I'm assuming that we're going to have some folks from the town of Caroline also joining us on this committee, more so than we already have.
I don't know. That's like a good question. We'll have to ask Dan and Jason what their thoughts are on that as the town board elected officials leading this part of the project. All right. I did mention the New York State Infrastructure Summit. Jason and I traveled down to Binghamton Jason Leifer and I traveled down to Binghamton on Wednesday, where Jason was a panelist on a conversation on economic development through broadband investment. Really good conversation. The head of marketing for Utopia, which is the state of Utah's public broadband project, came in from Utah. She's originally from upstate New York, so she's kind of local, and led this great panel about what we're doing in Dryden and how we're different. Jason was able to rely on a lot of what has been going on with Dryden Fiber over the last 5+ years, where a lot of other projects are just so new, they just don't have that. Ryan from Hunt was there too, Ryan Garrison. So we had a good group of people in the crowd. Chuck Bartosh, who participates in some of these meetings, was there too. So we had, I'd say, pretty good people in the room to talk about Dryden Fiber with people across the state. Probably one of the key people there was Josh Breitbart, who is the head of the Connect All office. He did a fireside chat right before Jason's panel to talk about where we are, and he's the one who was able to call out Dryden Fiber's project across this Southern Tier region infrastructure summit. I have a picture or two that Chuck took of Jason. I'll send those around later. Any questions on the infrastructure summit? Or Ryan, anything we should add? I know Ryan was there all day too.
A little light on broadband this time around, but there was more electric and some other critical utility stuff. So only a portion of this was broadband this year.
That's true. That's a good point. All right. So we have our new signs. I put a whole bunch of signs out at the beginning of October and a few more mid-October. Yesterday, I emailed regarding our sign panel opportunity. People can put on their own sign panels. I sent that to the committee, I think, last night. So I emailed all of our customers to invite them, and also people who have just recently signed up in the last 2 months. Right away, got some really great feedback. So here's some of the email messages that I wanted to share with the committee. Friendly service, fast internet. We're very happy with service. They definitely want to sign. People like what you're doing as a committee to bring this to the town. So I wanted to share that with you. regarding this signs posted, right now we have 48 signs posted as of yesterday. There were 9 new sign requests right away, just in the first 12 hours since I sent that email out. A few people did request sign panels, so they'll be doing their own panels to add on top of their signs. I'm going to put those out today, so estimated that by the end of today we'll be at around 57 signs. There's also a sign log where I'm tracking all this so we can see who signed up for signs, when the signs are installed, and the home addresses. So we know about where they are. It's a pretty good distribution across the service area from Varna, Etna, Freeville, Yellow Barn, Spring Run, and throughout the village of Dryden. Any questions on signs? Okay. The sign panel project, I talked about this last month. I pushed that out yesterday. Like I said, some people wrote back right away, like, yeah, give me a sign panel, give me a sign and a panel. Once these start to come in, we'll share these out on our social media, put them on the website, share this with the Town of Dryden email list. So a question that I didn't put in the email to our customers was, do we want to have a contest? Like we talked about maybe having a free month of service to the sign selected by the Broadband Committee. We don't have to. It might push out. It might get more people engaged if they know that they could, win a free month of service if they're the winning sign. Any thoughts on this as a way to kind of do some basically free marketing for the service, get some people involved? Arthur, Mark.
It
Dave?
seems reasonable to me, Dave. I mean, I don't have any objection to it, so.
So the idea would be the full signs you would hand out for them to do the thing, or would it still be the little ones that you put
Yeah,
on
just
top?
I mean the signs are relatively inexpensive. If they want to mark up the whole sign, they could. If they just want to mark up the panel, they could do that too. If they want to like tie-dye their sign without even having the panel, that'd be cool too. I like whatever they want to do. They want to put sparklers on it. It's plastic, it might melt. They want to put lights on it, strobe lights, whatever. I mean, have at it.
I guess how big are the social media pages?
are you
Like how many
envisioning-
people would be engaged?
We have a few hundred on, I think on Facebook. We have a few on Nextdoor, some Instagram. The biggest one right now is our Town of Dryden has an email list that's around 600 plus email addresses with pretty high open rates. So when these come in, we can promote it that way too. And people are going to see it when they're driving.
How are you envisioning engaging Caroline in this?
So these are for people who already have the service.
Okay.
So once Dryden Fiber is available in Caroline, just offer this to Dryden Fiber Caroline customers too, where they can put signs in their yard and they can decorate however they want. Like it could be done in phases. Like this could be like the 2024 fall phase contest and do another one in the spring or in the summer. I think right now we're looking at having service available in Caroline sometime around October of next year, based on permitting, electrical make ready, construction, splicing, testing, and then the other updates you have to do.
Okay.
Ryan's here. I don't want to go ahead of where we think we'll be, but I think we're very comfortable saying October of next year for Down Caroline, and then doing other contests like this next year.
And I think that the overriding concept here is that from what I've experienced, the biggest way to get people to sign up is either word of mouth or with the signs. That seems to be the most popular way that people are made aware of the service.
Dave, can I we are preparing the town newsletter to go out to every home in Caroline. So I did share, and thanks for your feedback on a little notice about Dryden Fiber coming to Caroline. And in that yeah, we are inviting people to sign up for the service. So I wanted to make sure that's okay. But that was my understanding. So
Totally okay. We are fielding those. Obviously, we're just telling everyone, thank you for signing up. And when we get to you, we'll let you know that just like we do with everyone in the town of Dryden who doesn't have service yet.
great.
It's good for us to repeat that we're expecting it to start in the town of Caroline sometime around October of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Per the MIP grant, construction needs to be completed so we can send the reimbursements by December 31st of 2026.
Mhm.
So we're about 25 and a half months left to go. We're making incredible progress. We are way ahead of every other provider just in the phase one. I don't know if the deadlines for phase two and phase three are also December 31st of 2026. Ryan is nodding very quickly. That is kind of scary. Given right now we have like a 6-month head start on those projects that were just granted on Wednesday. The governor had an announcement. There are now 33 projects through the Connect All office. We're part of the first 5 of those 33, and we're like 6 months in, and we're deep into permitting, which we know a lot more about how to do through the work with Hunt and our permitting partners. The other projects are way far behind.
And
So we should be at every home in the town of Caroline by the end of 2026.
Great. So I'd be really interested to see what happens, because I'm anticipating that you're going to see a response to this, that you'll see people signing up. So
yeah, I think we probably, because Tracy is here and he wants one more thing to do, we probably could give you a count each month of the number of Caroline people have signed up.
Yes, and I was just thinking the same thing. I could probably put something together. We already have people in the town of Caroline that have signed up.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few of them. So
that's great.
They've heard about this. They know it's coming. You're gonna have a good response from your people in your town. I'm certain of it.
Great.
The thing we want to be careful of here, though I think we ran into this with Dryden, is that you want to set the expectations so we don't tell them a date that we can't really actually get there. So being a little vague about it, or at least setting that expectation is better than having where we don't meet the date. And we found that we were a little more optimistic about certain things, and things that there's just things beyond our control, like the permitting stuff that is someday. We think we got the jam through some of it, but it took a way longer, like 6 months longer than I think was really absolutely expected. So
okay.
So
do you think it's okay to say we expect the first Caroline customers in October or fall of 2025, or is that should I be more vague than that?
Ryan, do you want to speak to this, because you're the one close to the permitting process, which is a huge part of the Gantt chart of what has to happen to bring the network. One is like the physically bringing it from where we have the ring right now, which if I go back a couple slides, the blue line in the town of Dryden, the top half of this map, is where we have the fiber right now. The red is part of the proposed network from MIP that reaches all the unserved and underserved homes in the town of Dryden, as well as reaches across the town line into the town of Caroline. So we're talking about like reaching town of Caroline by September, October of 2025. It'll be those parcels close to the border of some of the border of the town of Dryden. And basically push south as we expand. So if you're down in Speedsville, not going to be October of 2025. But the commitment is that this will completely be done by December 31st of 2026.
Yeah.
Sorry, all right, Ryan, do you want to stay any closer than that?
Just that I do think that we'll have customers on in October, but to Graham's point, I think the messaging around that we should, figure out as a group. And also like the MIP, the Connect All office has been very helpful with NYSEG in our case and Frontier, and they're trying really hard with Verizon. So some improvements are being made with how quickly the applications move through, but just to your point, you know, like a lot can happen. Until we have the cable up there, you know, a lot can happen. So I am confident that we'll be into Caroline and setting up the pops and getting customers on by October. But what we want to release, you know, we could talk about that.
I mean, if you use something like late fall or early winter is when we expect to have it on. You know, something that doesn't commit, you know, doesn't overcommit us. So we look better if we deliver it early. You don't look good if you deliver it later than they'll expect. And also to give in them some form that, you know, these areas of town, you know, it's progressing through it. So too. So but
okay, I'm going to add language that's that explains that very completely. So,
and just to add one other comment, you know, as the applications have progressed, look at that. We're going to take a look back and see, rather than a top-down estimate of the construction, more of a bottom-up, where we see how quickly could we possibly get this done, and let's start to set those dates internally, not to project to the public, but to set ourselves up with as much time in the last 6 months as possible on the schedule, so that as things come up, allow for that time to deal with those things, to make sure that we're good for that December 12th or December 26th deadline.
It is a good plan, Ryan. Yeah, instead of working the entire project to end on 12/31/26, Hunt is taking the initiative to have the project basically wrap up construction splicing by June 30th, 26, which will say, like, if we had to do this by June 26th, by June 30th of 2026, how would we do that? It has to happen in what order? Get all the construction teams in place, splicing teams in place, all the permitting to be done on time. What would that look like? And then if we have any delays, we have 6 months buffer at the end, instead of, as Ryan said, instead of trying to go toward the 12/31 deadline.
And there's opportunities to give as we get closer or whatever, you know, more communication can go out. So that's the other thing we know. So but some to get them sort of primed, but then it's in around a year out or so before the first set of customers would get on. So
I guess the last part about that is we're all halfway through Q4, and as we talked about back in the spring, once a quarter, so January 1st, April 1st, July 1st, October 1st, we do a map update that has the yellow zones and the blue zones, and now we have the orange zones for MIP. We'll start to integrate those orange zones into the blue and yellow color scheme starting in January 1st with the next update in about 45 days. Then every 90 days, as we update the maps, people in Caroline will see, like, oh, we're 12 months away, we're 6 months away, we're 3 months away. Or ultimately by projecting next October, we're in the green. So we'll keep updating that every 3 months.
And for instance, Mark, I was on because I was right by where because I live right on where the railroad line runs. They were able to run my line, but I was up in, I think, March of last year. But it's been 8 months till my neighbors just down the road can get on, and they're just getting in now. So that's the sort of time frame, because there's, you know, running that infrastructure too to go once we got the rings sort of done, and I could probably get right in the ring. So yeah, so we just don't want to frustrate people, but we want to give them the information, I think.
Very good.
So yeah,
great.
I think one other thing that I've learned in the last year and a half almost, since I started helping out with the marketing last June, is the team across the board is getting more efficient at operating the construction of the project. From the permitting process, obviously, like, it's a big understatement what Ryan said about how impactful state of New York has been with getting NYSEG to move these permits faster. Our plan had, I think, 10 to 12 months per permit. Now they're concurrent with other permits, but there's a lot of permits in this project, like 20 plus permits in the MIP project. That's 10 to 12 months as part of the plan. We're looking at maybe those might come in 4 to 6 months. It's a huge improvement. But on top of that, just the way that we are organizing and getting things that when the permits are ready, getting construction in there the next day. When construction is done, getting splicing in the next day, not like the next week or the next month or when teams are available. So I don't want to rely too much on what happened in the last 3.5, 4 years of construction to say that's exactly what it's going to be like time-wise for the next 2.5 years, next 3 years. We're going to be able to build more of the network more efficiently, more cost-effectively, perhaps too, going forward than we did in the past because of what we learned and how we're working together.
But there's still a lot of work for any of the contractors because they haven't pulled the old poles and they haven't moved all the new equipment over. They moved some of it, but not all of it. It seems very strange. At least in Etna, it seems to be a little bizarre. Although we've been able to hang now, but yeah, it's taken a long time. So
yeah, no doubt there is a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
All right, while we're on this deck, I'm just going to do one more thing, which is the broadband facts. As I mentioned, Chuck Bartosh, who was at that event on Wednesday and helps out with our committee, he put these together. This is a request from the FCC that all ISPs put together these broadband facts. We have 6 of these, one for each of our services at the residential tier and the commercial tier. Kind of zoomed in on one of them. This is our lowest tier, the most cost-effective, cheapest tier we have, which is the residential silver plan, $45 a month. It has the additional charges and terms, which is free installation, first plume is free, no contract, and then the speeds. So all 6 of our services now have these broadband packs. They are on our website on the services page. And wherever else FCC requires us to put these, we're now able to include these broadband packs. Any questions on these broadband facts? It's like a brand new thing to make it more clear for the consumer what the differences are between different offerings.
Nice work, Dave.
This is like 99% Chuck and Amanda. Right down to our unique plan identifier, F3316740. This is, we make that up. Like they were like, just make up your own. So we have these unique plan identifiers for each of our 6 products as they're listed here. All right, I think that's it from this deck. Okay. So coming back over here, business tier updates. The business tier has now been pushed out. Letter to our current customers went out with the refresh, like here's what's included in the business tier. We updated the business tier on the website. That's been completed. We have new postcards to the business tier. That's drafted. We're just waiting the phone number, which is now available. So those postcards will be printed in the next 15 days. And in December, we'll start to roll out those postcards to any business address. Talk about the business service plan we have available. I already talked about marketing, the signs, and the broadband facts. Third part of the marketing report was the phone number selection, which, as I mentioned, is basically done. We're just turning it on and working through our process to roll this out. So about, I don't know, half a dozen different things, different parts of this rollout plan to make sure the number is published on the website, social media, in the town, updating the phone tree, the automatic teller, automatic attendant, and a few other places.
So
We should say, please
Oh.
don't call this number today. It is not turned on yet. Please wait for us to tell you that it's ready. So don't publicize. We're not publicizing this number on the website because we don't have it turned on yet. So I do want to say that to the committee that yes, we have it, but no, it's not ready.
Amanda, will they be a section they can go to billing and then one to talk about new service and then one for issues if they have them?
Yes. Yep. We have Dave. I don't know if you want to show it or if because it's on SharePoint. We do have how it's documented how we're going to do the phone tree, how it's connected, because people still will have numbers that come to town hall, how they're going to get from there to the new number. So we have the beginnings of all of this that we're going to be implementing. It's just going to take a little bit of time, obviously, to put all these pieces in place.
Yeah, these transitions are always take some time.
That's right. So this is what I'm displaying now is a copy of the auto attendant answers. So we will be recording new answers for the current number 844-8888 for town hall. And then for the new phone number, it'll also have its own auto attendant, and Cassie is going to be the voice of Town of Dryden and Dryden Fiber on these. Regarding the rollout plan that I mentioned, this is being worked on by Amanda, Cassie, as well as our team at Integrity, both Scott and Andrew. So we've already chosen a number of preparation pieces done, updating our digital presence, communicating the change with our partners, offline updates, which is our print material primarily, and then follow-up and monitoring to make sure the new phone numbers are working. The main reason, well, there's a number of reasons to do this, but one of the things we identified is the team at Integrity who does Dryden Fiber support gets between 40 and 50 phone calls a month that are non-Dryden Fiber related. So we want to reduce that and just have this number be focused for Dryden Fiber. Also make it really easy. If they have a question about support, billing, or signing up, one number gets right through to the right people. Any questions on business tier updates for marketing from this part of the agenda? All right. Next up, we have construction, installations, and network stability. Ryan, do you have stuff you want to share with us on construction updates and map updates?
Yes, can I share my screen?
Yeah. Go for it. You should be able to do it now.
If I just want to let you know, something that we've used at Cornell is there's an Amazon product called Polly, which you can then type in at whatever you want, and then it will create a voice of that, and then you can store it usually on the system. So we've used that to build our auto attendant, so we get a consistent voice, and then when somebody leaves, it doesn't affect that, oh, I need Cassie to do it or whatever. Just it depends how complicated you want to get, and I don't know if this system allows you to download a voice, those voices, but we have used that just to let you know, just to make you aware that it's around. So, but
What's it called? Polly?
Polly, and within Amazon, if you have an Amazon account, you can use Polly usually. So.
Okay, cool. Thanks,
and allows you to type it all out basically, so you can redo it, figure out what you're going to do, and then go do all the recordings rather than somebody doing all the recordings. But you still have to push them out to the auto attendants when you're done. But so.
Cool. All right, Ryan, map stuff.
Yep, so I just wanted to show some line work to show what we're working on. The splicers were in the village. They're trying to get a couple of things done there, including a road and hill Goodrich, which are not quite ready yet with the underground work. So instead they moved to Dryden 10, and what you see here in light blue, and we were looking to make an web map up today, but Joel, our GIS operator, is out sick, so we're probably gonna have to do it Monday morning.
Ryan, your network.
Ryan, you're cutting out. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, maybe if you're closer to the microphone, that might help. It sounds like the full internet connection there might not be that great.
Yeah, I apologize. Yep. So what's been done this week is what you see in light blue here. This was completed, so this will be part of the map updates. Our GIS individual is out sick today, so we're probably going to have to do that first thing Monday morning. Next week, the splicers will be finishing what you see in dark blue. And then as soon, so that's what the splicers are working on, and then they'll go finish up what's happening underground in the village. As far as cabling goes, What you see here in green was activated as part of the last map update. But we had a small section of underground on Caswell Road that had to change. So that was a permit change with the county. Other than that, what you see here in orange is already placed on the pole. We just need to tie it in with the green network. Syracuse Utilities will begin on what you see here in pink, beginning November 20th. And that should take them a couple of weeks to get West Dryden Road and 38 North done. And there's a couple of small sections here that are part of that same application that will also be done at that time. What you see in red is Dryden 6. That'll be cabled immediately after Syracuse Utilities is done with what's in pink. And what you see in yellow is Dryden 8, and that is further behind the other applications. So this will be done probably a little bit after the first of the year. And then what you see in pink here is Dryden 9. I'm not sure what the estimated completion date is from electrical make ready, but it's in the same group as 7 and 6. So as soon as Syracuse Utilities is done with the pink and the red, they'll move over to the purple and finish that. That is what we're currently working on in construction.
Well, a lot of stuff happening. Any questions for Ryan on? Construction.
Amazing.
I'll also mention that we have an application for this general area down here, but there may be some opportunity for us to coordinate with Clarity. So I'm gonna work with Chuck on this to see how we can efficiently work together to maybe get that done quicker and for both parties. So on Monday, the map update will include these areas, and if I do receive any test results before that map update goes out, I'll include those.
Got it. Do you have a timeline on that Goodrich, Hilton, Lee Road sections in the village?
So the cabling should be done next week for both, and that was the hang up and why the splicers could not go there. So that should be done next week, and then the splicers would be able to go back there probably the last week in November.
That'll be a nice Christmas present for those folks in the village. Great. Any other questions on construction from anyone? All right, installations. I had put in I don't know, 2 hours ago, I sent the email out. I thought we had about 30 in the queue. Tracy, you want to give us an update on where we are with installations?
So right now, there are 35 that have been scheduled. There actually have been scheduled and rescheduled due to the next note that's on there that we ran out of O&U's, and they're on their way supposedly. But in addition to the 35 that are on the schedule with Integrity, we have another 26 that are in waiting to get signed or to get connected. And then there's another 6 in the Ithaca Estates. So, and while we're on this call today, I got another email from a sign up. So we're somewhere around 62 or 63 potentials ready to go. People are waiting to get connected to our system.
Tracy, where are we with plume devices too? Do we have enough of those?
At this time, we're good with those. Amanda and I we stay on top of those to make sure that we have them. The last order that we received was for 200, so we have stock on those right now.
Okay, perfect.
And most of the stuff that we need, we can get relatively quickly. But these units from Sienna, it's a completely different story. I actually emailed this morning to find out what our expectation is for delivery, and I haven't heard back yet.
But it does come in as a big order. So 310, which I believe, so these come in packs of 10, so it's 31 packs of 10. And we'll be able to really watch closely on when we're down to the last 100, last 50. And we'll know a lot more. We haven't had to order these since the beginning of the project. When the project started,
Yeah, and I think that we need to order them when we're, based on what I'm seeing from Sienna, we should order them as soon as we get these in, so that we don't have this issue again. That's our feeling, but we'll see how long it really takes for them to get here, and then we'll go from there.
So if we add the 62 from Tracy to the 172 live customers, that would give us 234 total. And I put a note on here, the break-even number is 262. We might make a slight adjustment to that, but it's around 262. That's just what is currently live and paying us, and what's in the queue to be paying us once they go live, once they get scheduled and get activated. Will we get all 62 of those live by the end of the year? Not sure yet. But
I think we
hopefully
can. I think we can. I've been in conversation with Clarity Connect, and they're telling me that they believe we can get this done. So again, it depends on when those units actually get here, and then we can go from there.
We have about 20 working days in the month of December. We can do 4 to 6 installs per day. So mathematically, we have the resources to do what's in the queue and what needs to be scheduled in the month of December. That being said, we don't need to rush this. Like, where people have been very patient with us throughout the entire project, as well as once they are in the green zone. What it really looks like is, if we don't get them all in December, we'll get them in January, and we'll probably have another 30 to 40 more prospects in the next 45 days. So by the end of January, we'll be really close or past that break-even number, which puts us about 2 months ahead of where we thought we were going to be.
I also wanted, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we really thought we'd be there by the end of March. Tracy?
I also wanted to add that we are starting to get some commercial accounts. People are signing up, and one of those that signed up was George Junior Republic. I have a meeting. I have a meeting with the IT person at George Junior next Tuesday to discuss how he wants to do this and what he's looking for. They're looking for a gig service. I looked on the map that I have, the latest map, and it doesn't show how we're going to, they're in the green zone, but it doesn't show how we're supposed to get connected to them. So I'm going to reach out to Ryan after I have this meeting with this gentleman. He would like the connection to come from Mott Road, because their connection to Spectrum comes from Route 38. They have people, they have their own people that do digging on site, and they've already caused issues for them. They don't need to have somebody dig up the fiber at the same time that they dig up the Spectrum connection, and now they're dead in the water. They would like to have our service come from a different direction. So that's one of the things I'm going to discuss with him when I'm out there. He also said that they're willing to possibly run a conduit for us if he needs to. It will be more than 500 feet. I told him that we were charging for that. That did not bother him. So lots of questions to be answered, but this is pretty cool to go see with these people, meet with these people, and see what we can do for them.
Awesome, good update. Thanks for going there in person. I think it makes a big difference. As I put out here.
Yeah, once I gave him the option, he was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be great if you could come over here." So, because he has lots of questions, we'll get them answered.
Yeah, Graham.
Yeah, that's really great news, Tracy. I have a little question about where John Laurie is located. That's 80 Etna Lane. It looks like you guys got right across the road, you've got the pole, and you've got stuff on that pole. So, and I noticed they have had fiber because they've got some connection somewhere, but from somebody else. But it might be an opportunity for us, but they have not gone green. And I just wondered why that was the case.
It's part of
Um,
it's part of the mapping update that we were working on. It'll be part of the next mapping update.
Okay, so yeah, because it's just a little strange because they're right across from the other pole. We should be able to go from one pole to their pole
Yeah.
and then down. So Tracy, it might be an opportunity to talk to them too. I've not talked to them at all, so but I could if you want me to. So.
That's the commercial property at 80.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
Well, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to meet with Mr. Yeager at George Jr. I could just, as long as I'm up there, I'll just swing over and see these people as well if they'll take a impromptu meeting. We'll find out. I'll let you know.
yeah. Okay, cool.
Cold call. That's cold
Cold
call.
call.
Come on, Graham.
Hey, Tracy, did you initiate the George Jr. or did they reach out to us?
They signed up. I initiated a call with them. It was probably 2 or 3 months ago, and spoke with Alex. I can't remember his last name. But this gentleman mentioned that his boss, which is Alex, told him to get a hold of us. So I guess it's a mix. I initiated the original, but I did not initiate this one. So
That's just great. I mean, and over the last few years, that they used to be kind of like this, I don't know, secluded entity in our town, and they've in the last 8 years or so, they've become much more engaged. You know, we have the rail trail easement through their property, and now they're doing this. It's really a great sign.
I think they have from what I've had conversation, they have some pretty good leadership over there.
Mm-hmm.
And probably it changed in the last few years.
Excellent.
We do have some other large commercial account prospects that have come through since we lit up that area along 366 from kind of from 13 all the way up to Freeville. However, since these are prospects, and this will probably continue on north as well as in the village of Dryden, they're still prospective customers. George Jr. is a little unique because there's such a big entity in the town, as Dan mentioned. So we probably won't share every prospect who's talking to us publicly until we get through to having them sign up and getting them on board. They're choosing to use us as an internet provider. If they decide to tell people, we're happy that they do that, but we don't want to tell their story for them until they're ready. If you do have any curiosity, I think, I'm happy to share one-on-one, or Tracy is to say here's a process we're working on. They're like a neighbor, they're a business that you mentioned that you talked to as a committee member or as a member of the greater Dryden Fiber team that's on this call. But we're probably not going to publish a list of here's everyone who has reached out to us for service. Does that sound okay with the committee? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to discuss some of the detail, unfortunately. I mean, we want to know where we are. So maybe what we need to do is have a occasional meeting about that or something else where we can make sure that the prospects are getting handled. I don't know how to do that, but it would be more of a closed meeting, I would suspect.
You can always email me and Tracy, and give you updates on individual multi-use opportunities or commercial properties. You can mention them. We can either say we're working with them or no comment, but I don't think we want to here's a list of every single business and multi-use in town and where we are with negotiations and share that publicly, because they might have their own desires to not make that public at this time.
No, I understand that fully. And we're same with residential customers. We've been,
totally.
But it would be nice to kind of see a map of where we're missing, and then how are we going to market to those. But we probably need a special closed meeting, and I don't know if we sign non-disclosures or something so that we do that kind of thing. So
one of the other issues that I think is going to come up is many of your commercial accounts are in buildings that they rent. So it's going to be okay, we got to get permission from the owner of the property before we can actually address the needs of the tenant. I've run into that a few times already. So just another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, it makes their property more.
The George Junior Republic gentleman said, I didn't know what to put down for the property owner because I don't own the property, but I want the service. So interesting.
Yeah, it's a good note. All right. Network stability is next on the agenda. We are doing a maintenance event on Tuesday morning between 1 and 5 a.m. We'll send an email out to all the customers on Monday to let them know the outage should be no more than 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to allow us to do some updates at each of the POPs. It's all going to be done remotely by Scott and the team at Integrity.
Yeah, Dave, I know Tony mentioned this, but I think 1 a.m. is a little early to start that, but if they could do 2, but remember he said the window's at 3 to whatever, but I don't know if we've looked at traffic, but that should tell us. But 1 o'clock, I can easily imagine people are still watching stuff. I mean, I'm not, but if there's a flexibility there and it's a 15-minute outage, they can push it a little further. That would be more ideal, I think. So.
Yeah, I brought that up with Scott. He said 2 things. One is that the 1 to 5 is pretty standard, and 2 that's the lowest block of 4 hours of the whole day. And it won't be every single house at the same time as you roll through the 4 different POPs. So I imagine some, if you're in the POP that's up, starting at 1, the other one would be 1:30 to 2:30. So it should have a pretty low impact overall at that hour. With the warning email, it says it's coming.
Yeah, thanks a lot for getting an email together to the customer. I think that's a great way to go. So at least they're informed. So.
I think that's it. We're a little over, but not too far over. Next meeting will be in 2 weeks on the 6th. 3 weeks. 3 weeks now. In 3 weeks on the 6th, which is the first Friday of the month, where we look at the data and all the numbers for the month of November. I put some ideas on here for future topics, our Caroline outreach work, another conversation on the take rate, customer base, what it looks like, as well as a conversation about metrics and trends, something Arthur brought up via email to just do a little deeper dive on a non-reporting meeting, so the second meeting of the month, to look at all the data we're collecting and see if we have ideas and recommendations on how to improve overall service. The Q&A is on the agenda, so I'll just open it now before we wrap the meeting. Any questions about any parts of the project while we're all here together? Joel gave the thumbs up. Dan, Mark, go for it, Mark.
Yeah, I'd just say I was really happy to see. I've been trying to. I didn't know what was going on with the GDA and how soon we might expect to have that completed. So that was great to see that we're hoping to have that within the next couple of weeks. So I couldn't tell from what we've heard from Connect All. So and that means we're going to need the IMA in place as well, right? So.
Yes, the IMA, the agreement between the town of Dryden and town of Caroline, has to come first before the GDA gets signed.
Okay.
Because it basically holds together the entire relationship between 2 towns, Dryden Fiber and the state of New York. So when the IMA is done, the intermunicipal agreement between Dryden and Caroline, we'll send that to Connect All, who operates the MIP program. Their lawyers will review the IMA, make sure that they are like, this makes sense. It just talks about the flow of the funds and how it'll operate and the ownership. And then that'll be the next step would be the approval to sign off on the GDA.
Okay, great.
And ideally, the next 2 weeks before December 1st. If it goes into December, it's okay. The key thing is we will not be able to submit invoices and paid invoices, canceled checks to get reimbursed until the GDA is signed.
Yeah. Great.
Dave, I had one other thing I wanted to bring up. We are going to, and I'm not sure who decided this in the beginning, but we have the Verdi that's at the town Department of Public Works, where we store all of our material, the conics, if you will.
Narcotics.
It's full. We are going to need more space. I reached out to Rick Young because there's another Connex right next to the one we use that was empty. However, he said they just filled it up with picnic tables and chairs for the winter, so it's full. I'm just bringing this to everybody's attention, and it's going to become a problem when we start ordering more equipment for Town of Caroline, and we've already discussed that we probably are going to need some kind of a storage facility there, but we need more space for material. I don't know who decided in the first place that was our storage facility. It works great, but it's full, and there's no place to put more equipment that we're going to need to have space for stuff, because we have moved from doing 30 installs in 6 months to we're doing 30 to 40 a month, and it's a lot of material that we need to make sure we have, but we need a place to store it. So I don't know whose job it is to address this, but it needs to be addressed sooner rather than later.
We probably should call the MIP steering committee together for a meeting, which would include Mark and Kate from Town of Caroline, Ryan, Dan and Jason from Town of Dryden, Amanda, and then I don't know, Tracy, maybe you should be at that meeting too. Just talk about, because you're managing all the inventory, about what we need, where we would want it in the Town of Caroline that could be safe to store equipment, and then if we need something short term in the Town of Dryden for all this material, where we can put that.
I'm okay with that concept. I think it's a good idea, and I think that it needs to happen in the near future here, rather than wait until next year when we got a pile of equipment we don't know what to do with.
Yeah, I guess I don't just like off the cuff, like there is an office in the town hall across from the Barbara Caldwell room that is vacant. That was offered to me to use that as an office space when I'm there one day a week. It's a pretty good sized office. We could store stuff there. The conference room, dining room at the DPW that has a little stage area where the town board used to meet 15 years ago. That room was used for storage for some time. I don't know if that's a place we could use. So those are two possible ideas short term.
And then we were using that conference room, and we're told to get that stuff out of there. So that's why there's nothing in there anymore.
What about the central office? Is there space in that building?
There's not much room. There's not much room left in that building. There's a lot of all the stuff that we have to. All the stuff that was in the conference room is in there now, because it's all things that need to be in a controlled environment. Because remember, the Connex is not heated. It's very cold in there in the winter.
So do you need, Tracy, do you need stuff that's climate controlled or both?
I think we have enough space for the climate controlled equipment in the CO, because there's not that much of it. It's the plumes, the ONUs, everything else is it'll be fine in a cold environment. But I think that once we get all the equipment that we need, that needs to be in a controlled environment, we will fill up that CO. So this needs to be something, another Connex would be perfect. But like I said, I don't know who made the decision to get that or use that in the first place. I assume it was already there for the town, and they said, yep, go ahead and use it.
I don't know. That was before my time too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ryan, do you have anything?
No, that was purchased. We purchased 2 of those early on in the project to store materials. But we purchased 2 because there was a deal and Rick knew he could use one of them.
Oh.
Nice going, Rick.
Well, it made sense at the time. So I think we didn't know we'd need to.
What sort of expense are these things? So
I'd have to go back in some records, but I don't remember exactly how much they were a piece. So
I mean, there's places like Verdi Sales and things like that, which will drop a shipping container, either a 20-footer or I think they're 80 maybe length.
Yeah, the
You know,
ones that
that's
we
usually
have are
pretty
80s.
good for store. Okay, so they'll rent you one of those bi-monthly, and then they'll take it away or whatever when you're done with it. So if it's short term, you know, there's rental places that we could rent that kind of stuff if needed. But
I like I said, Dave, I think this is, you're right. This is going to require more conversation. So I'm just bringing it up so that it doesn't get forgotten.
Ryan, do you have anything on this? I know
I
you
would
were
just,
involved.
yeah, I would just add that, you know, if it's installation materials, you know, maybe we can work with Clarity, you know, like, cause I'm just looking at 62 plus installs. You know, if they've got that on the books, that's a lot of space for materials too. So maybe we can work out with them where we transmit a chunk of materials to them, they store it, and it just, it makes it easier on them and it takes it out of the Connex. But we probably will need more space as well.
All right, well, we'll put together a kind of a tiger team just to figure out the Connex and storage issue with some from Dryden, Caroline, as well as Tracy and Ryan.
yeah, the logistics of where we place it might matter too. But of course, you've got to get the shipping inventory in. Somebody has to look at that. We did remember, if you recall, we had some problems where certain things got left outside that probably it didn't do them very much good. So, but that was an air conditioning unit or something that had to get sent back.
Yeah, this was
yeah.
the original reason why we got
We went
involved
to-
in the inventory, because Jason went over there one day and there was a whole pile of stuff sitting out in the middle of the
Yeah.
driveway, and he was very irritated that he had to put it away.
Well, thanks for bringing that up, Tracy.
Yeah, just let us know, or let me know, and I'll be happy to be in a meeting so we can get this figured out.
All right. Any other ideas, suggestions, things you spotted that we should talk about? Q&A? All right, it's a little after 11:40. Thanks everyone for joining us today. As I said earlier, our next meeting is on Friday, December 6th, where we'll be looking at everything that happened in the month of November. Between now and then, do expect some map updates. I'll push those out as they get updated, as Ryan shares those with Integrity and Clarity and Gleeman and Amanda and myself. I'll push those out through social media. I'll also email the Broadband Committee, so you'll see those updates. And if you have any questions or anything else comes up between now and December 6th, definitely let me know.
Oh, I did have feedback that people are getting your postcards too, although they were going to sign up anyways because I sent them something, but just emailed directly. But yeah, and talked to them. But yeah, they said I got my postcard too, and they actually signed up after they got the postcard, not after what I sent them, I think. So they're working, though those are working, and people are seeing those, so that's good. So
good, thanks for that feedback. Thanks, Ryan and Amanda, for helping to manage that postcard project. It's like physical proof. Like, I've seen the signs, I've heard about it, but it's now available to my house. You found my address. It's good. All right, have a great weekend, everyone.
Great. Thanks, Dave.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.